Hey everybody, I know it's been a while since you've seen my smiling face, but I'm back in Barcelona in one piece, and I've got a couple of stories. Nothing particularly wild, but I had a lot of fun. A good week off, thank God. Those would be a lot more fun more often while I'm in Atlanta. So I told you all about Paris. Paris was great. I left Nadal's match early because I had to catch a train, which it turns out didn't leave for another 2 hours. It just sat on the track for no good reason. I never found out why, but we left 2 hours late, and turns out I was sitting in a 6-person room for the overnight train with a family of 5 from Utah. And they were really nice people. I had a good time talking to them. It was a married couple and their 3 kids. Nice people. Good times. Anyway, they were headed to Rome, so we parted ways when I got off in Florence. And so the first thing I did was take a cab to the hostel, and it was a really cool hostel. I hadn't really thought about what hostels in Italy would be like because they're all in these apartment buildings, and the hostel happens to be on a particular floor in the apartment building. So you take an Italian-style lift up the center of the stairs to the floor, and you check in there, and it's really kind of a cool building. They give you like a whole string of keys, one for like 2 outer doors, the elevator doors. You probably heard that sound. I'll get to that in a second. If you didn't, then I'll still get to it anyways. Another one for the elevator and another one for your room, so it was pretty cool. But anyway, I met up with my friends in Florence. They'd been in Italy all week, and so they were in Florence that day. We met up, we hung out. We managed to sit in this little cafe that went from the street down a hallway into a plaza inside the buildings. And it was really nice. We just sat there and chilled for like 3 hours, drinking a little bit of wine and eating some good Italian food. My first real Italian lasagna, actually. It was delicious. Ah, good times. After that, we went to see Il Duomo, climbed all the way to the top. It's funny because it says on the sign, you know, there's only stairs, there's no lift, so, you know, heart disease, don't try and come up there. They didn't say if you're fat, don't go, but it's implied. Anyway, it's funny that they mentioned that there are actually 483 steps because everybody counts on the way up. And I don't think anybody actually counted 483. But anyway, it was spectacular. It was really cool to see the city from on top of the dome. What else did we do in Florence? We also went that night to Piazza Signoria, which is this big plaza with a lot of sculptures and a museum, and of course another of Florence's million churches. It's really cool. We had great kebabs, and we just sat there drinking a bottle of wine while listening to some guy play Simon and Garfunkel covers, which was kind of weird to find, but I mean, there were a lot of tourists anyways. Makes sense. So that's all the time I got to spend in Florence. I didn't get to see the Statue of David or several other things, so I'm going back someday. Next morning we got on a train to Rome, got into Rome, and we were a block away from Termini station, so it was very easy to settle in. So once we did that, we walked all the way down to this monument to King Vittorio Emanuele II. I have no idea who he is, except that he was a king. I will look that up at some point. But it was cool. We walked from there down this one street that goes past the old Roman fort and forum and Caesar Augustus's fortress and house. And it's all these ruins that are laid out separately from the city that were obviously once an archaeological dig, but now it's more or less a museum you can pay to walk through in certain areas. And so we walked down that all the way down to the Colosseum and basically fell asleep in the grass next to the Colosseum. It was a pretty cool day, a really nice day. Finally got warm. Italy was nice and warm. What else? The next day we went to the Vatican City, and that was a religious experience. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I never will again, I mean, unless I go back. It was absolutely stunning, the sheer amount of history in that one basilica. Absolutely stunning. I mean, in 4 pillars in the center of the basilica, you have the head of St. Andrew, the spear that pierced Jesus when he was dead, nails from his cross as well as shards, and St. Veronica's shawl. I mean, it is absolutely stunning, and I could go on for hours, and I'd still be missing a lot. So I will do a little research and post the pictures with captions so that you know what you're looking at, because I took a ton of pictures. And I took the audio tour, which is the best part. If you ever go, take some kind of tour. If you don't want to take an audio tour, find a tour guide, get a written tour or something, because you won't know what you're looking at otherwise. Unless you are the expert on the Vatican, you won't know. It's absolutely amazing. What else did we do? That night, actually, we went on a pub crawl that starts at the Spanish Steps. So we went to the Spanish Steps, and we saw about 150 Americans. It was ridiculous. So many of us there, and I can almost understand why a lot of Europeans don't like us. Our tourists are just idiots. It's weird. But it was funny. We went to the first bar, the beer was terrible, but it was free. So it makes it a little better. The cool part was that it's Rome, you can't avoid the history. So it starts at the Spanish Steps, you get to see the Spanish Steps, and then as you're walking throughout the night, at some point we passed the Trevi Fountain, and it's beautiful lit up at night. I have a picture posted somewhere, probably in the same post. I don't know, I haven't posted it yet. Beauty of recording ahead of time. Anyway, we had a lot of fun. The pub crawl winds up at a club. We were there till about 3 a.m. Took a cab back. Had good times. And the next day we went down into that Roman fortress and wandered around. There are pictures up there too. And we went inside the Colosseum. And that was very cool to see. I mean, it's weird when you think about it, because at the same time it's also where a lot of people died. A lot. For pleasure too. For somebody else's pleasure. It's weird. But it's a cool part of history to see that so much of the Colosseum has survived. And it's relatively intact. I mean, I don't know exactly how many changes they'd have to make to actually keep it up and keep it an open museum, but it doesn't look like too many. You can't tell that everything is manufactured, necessarily. So that night we took it kind of easy because the girls were leaving very early in the morning, so they didn't want to be out late. And the next day I basically had to myself. And so I went to Mass in St. Peter's Basilica, all the way at the back of the Basilica. And they call it the main altar of the cathedral. And what was cool about this altar was that behind the tabernacle, way up, is a statue of 4 popes holding up a monument to St. Peter's chair, which is said to contain pieces of the actual chair within. And then on top of that is a stained glass window of the Holy Spirit, which I believe faces east to the rising sun as a symbol of Christ's resurrection and saving. So I thought that was absolutely beautiful. I kind of wish I would have been there early enough to see the sunrise through that window. That must be absolutely stunning. But all the same, it was still hair-raising to be at Mass at St. Peter's Basilica. It was absolutely phenomenal. I'm glad I got to do it. So it turns out that, and I knew this beforehand, but it turns out that European calendars tend to start on a Monday instead of a Sunday, so it goes Monday through Sunday instead of Sunday through Saturday. And for some reason, when I booked my flight, I forgot that. And so instead of my flight being out Sunday night like I thought, it turned out it was out on Monday night. So I had a full extra day and a half in Rome. So I just spent that last Sunday absolutely chilling in parks all around the city. I'd just go from one to the other. Brought myself a cigar. At one point, it looked like it was going to rain, so I went into a restaurant and had some dinner. And it didn't start raining until I was done with dinner. So I got to run back like 10 blocks in the rain all the way back. Like halfway there, I stopped running because it wasn't worth it. And it actually turned out to be kind of fun getting that wet. I know it sounds weird, but walking through the rain is actually kind of fun for me. So I had a good time. And so the next morning, I slept in, dried my clothes, and flew home. It was a good journey. It was a good time. It was a great week off. I hope the next one's everybody's good. Probably will be. It's going to involve some family. Definitely going to London. Definitely going to Wimbledon. And Hyde Park Calling concert is going to be ridiculous. So I'm excited. Oh, the sounds you've been hearing. You've probably been hearing those pops in the background. That's fireworks. Spain was playing in Euro 2008 against Russia and beat them 4-1. Apparently the last goal was a hat trick, which is ridiculous. I can't believe they pulled it off. But that's what it is. It's just fireworks. Everybody's celebrating. I didn't get to go watch the game tonight, but I get to go celebrate it. Definitely. That's going to happen. The next time they play, we're all going to a pub somewhere and watching it. Or some bar. I mean, we're going to get crazy. That's going to be nuts. But we'll be safe. I promise. We'll have good times. That's all for now. When I have more adventures, I'll be back. I'll be posting pictures soon if I haven't done it already. And some extra videos. There's some extra stuff for you to see that I really want to share with you. So I'll post those at some point. In the meantime, take it easy and I'll talk to you later.